Just say that this is on live. So this is live and working on this make-believe app called Get Ride to demonstrate that functional programming, or F# is not for people with PhDs and statisticians. It's for common folks to be productive and build apps that are kind of, I would say, industrial grade, right? We're building industrial grade software. Next generation, right? So inspired by domain-driven design, building out a make-believe app that rivals the Uber or the Lyft apps, right? Someone wants to ride and they get on their device and they request a ride through this app. So this is volume 7 or 8. I don't know which volume. I don't know which one this is, but basically, I'm trying to preach this idea of specification as a library, where you have essentially you have a library that is the specification of a given domain, right? It provides the language that's used in the domain, and it provides the operation types, right, as types that are used in the domain. And so your specification is like the blueprint, right? It's like it's a blueprint, but it's left to interpretation. It's kind of like a protocol for others to interpret. So your specification as a library, it will provide the structure for developers to build to. But just like a web browser, as long as you comply with the standards, right? As long as you comply with the protocol, then that's fine too. And so, okay, so if you have a specification as a library, then, and it's nothing but types, right? Like you have your types, and then you have your functions that are types too. Then how does that work? Well, you have a specification for each domain, okay? And yes, your specification as a library, it's just types, and that's all it is. Whether it's nouns or it's operations, they're all types. So for example, a noun in language, in this language module, would be GPS coordinate, longitude, latitude, pick up, whether it's the current location or a given address, right? These are nouns, yeah. We represent these nouns as types, yeah, okay. But then we have operations, and operations is ride query. This log in, log out, those are operations too. I'm just not confident that they should be here, but I'll leave it here for right now. But these operations are still types, right? It is structure. It's a blueprint. It's an abstraction for your domains to provide their own interpretation of the specification, right? And that's all it is. So, yeah. All right. So what did I do last time? The last video I pumped out, I did this under accounts, but let's scope to account, scope to this. And I wrote, I think, a couple tests towards the end. Removing the only bank card results in 0 cards, and remove bank card results in 1 less card in set. And if you want to look at my beautiful code, look at this beautiful code. Like, look at this. Like, how many developers can write beautiful code like this? That's straightforward. You see what it does, right? Let alone how many developers actually know how to write tests. Most of them can't, right? They'll tell you they can, but they can't, or else they would be doing it, but they don't know how to. And that's why your project is is well, out of budget, right? Because they spend all their time manually troubleshooting, even though you paid them to be programmers and to automate stuff. All right, I'm done venting. Anyways, yeah, look at this right here. Look how pretty this is. Like, yeah, look at this. Ah. Anyways, so like all this is F sharp, and I was at the beach walking my dog after I wrapped up the last video, and I'm like, what are some other cool things I could do to demonstrate the power of F sharp in functional programming as a whole for solving business problems that your normal programming languages or imperative programming languages do. And I was like, you know, a common scenario when you get an Uber or a Lyft is sometimes you need to cancel. You need to cancel the ride. Okay. You need to cancel the ride. That's another operation, and it's common. Okay. So you request a ride and you say, oh crap, I forgot to do something real fast. I'm not going to be available when this ride comes. Cancel it. All right. And then there may be a confirmation scenario that needs to be handled as well. But cancel is definitely an operation. Okay. So I'm thinking about naming this portal to ride again. It was ride last time, but now I'm thinking about some additional operations. And I wonder if all this is fixed yet. I just downloaded preview 3 of 15.9, I think, and they said that they fixed when you rename a project. Okay. I have a feeling that because of the plus sign added on it, it's not fixed. Control Shift B. I'll be amazed if this compiles after I rename a project, because it pretty much, I think it just creates a new project and deletes the old one and ignores the history of references of the old project. And my output window doesn't have anything in it. Like there's no messages. Okay, here we go. Yeah, so these errors right here. And yeah, so I'm not going to spin. I'm going to undo that. And I'm going to rename that later tonight or tomorrow. But what I am going to do is I'm going to add some new types. Okay. This is I would like to, if I have time. I think I'm going to go to user group tonight. 6:30. Cecil Phillips, Microsoft Azure developer advocate, prevents real-time messaging with ASP.NET Core Signal R. Yeah, I think I'm going to a user group tonight. So I need to hurry up and try to knock this out. All right, so these operations under this portal that I try to rename to ride, the ride domain. Right now it's called portal domain, but I want to rename this to ride domain. And actually, I mean, I could rename this part, right? I could call that ride. That shouldn't hurt anything. Okay. What I want to do is I already added this ride query. And so this is what happens when someone requests a ride. And maybe ride query is not the right term, right? So maybe I should just call this request ride. And I think that's probably cleaner. Okay. So when you request a ride, the parameters that are required, the arguments that are required is a passenger, a pickup location, a destination. And then it's either going to be successful or it's going to be error, the result of that request. If it's successful, then you may have a ride or you may not have anything. If it's error, then there'll be an error description. Okay. But something I was thinking about is the whole cancel story, the whole cancel scenario. When you want to request a ride and then you say, never mind, I want to cancel this. So I thought that is something that would be fun to think through. Okay, so the first thing I think about is this ride. This is no longer a ride when you request a ride, right? What you're really requesting, what the result is it's a pending ride. It doesn't mean that the ride is secured. It means that you have a pending ride. Okay. And yeah, it's not a ride until you're in the car. Then it becomes a ride. But when you're requesting a ride and that ride has not yet arrived and you're not in that car or you're not in that vehicle, then it's a pending ride. Okay. And so we say pending ride. Okay. I like that. So what does that mean? Well, I'll tell you. What that means is there's a cancel ride operation that we're going to add. Okay. And this cancel ride operation, this is going to take the pending ride. Okay. And this is going to result, right? Because this is depending on an imaginary external system. And that's going to result in, what would that result in? Well, ultimately, it's going to be a success or a failure, but hence, this is the result type. But what is that really going to be? Well, if anything, it should be some type of cancellation ID. That's the first thing I could think of. You have a ride ID, but it should probably be a ride cancellation, I guess. Ride cancellation. I can't spell cancellation. If you look at my Twitter or my blog post, you can probably, I don't know, guess that I can't really spell. That's the public school system in Cleveland. Ride cancellation. That's what it's going to return if it's successful. If it's not successful, then you're going to have an error description. Okay. All right. So now what? Well, I'll tell you. If you cancel a ride and it is successful, you should have a ride cancellation. It shouldn't be an option of having a ride cancellation, like some or none. Like this right here, a pending ride, you may have a pending ride or you may not have nothing at all because there's no drivers in your area. But when you cancel a ride, you should just have a ride cancellation and that's it. Okay. So, okay. Let's add that to our language in our ride domain. And so we're going to have a type called ride cancellation. Okay. And that ride cancellation should probably be a rider ID, or is it called ride ID? Ride ID. I think I named something ride ID. Yeah, ride ID over here. Maybe not. I could have sworn I had a ride ID. Hold up. If I go to here and yeah, there's a ride ID right here. Or I could just have pending ride and just have the whole thing, and that's probably better. So ride cancellation, you say ride, and this right here is pending ride. No, I'm missing the equal sign, that's why. Okay. And there should be like maybe a cancellation ID. Cancellation. I can't spell. Cancel. How do you spell cancel? Cancellation ID? Something like that. And that's going to be a cancellation. I can't. How you spell cancellation? Hold up. Boom. And how do I spell cancellation? I didn't mean to do that. Yeah, that's how you spell cancellation. Okay, so this would be a cancellation ID, which also needs to be defined. What the freak is going on? Which also needs to be defined. Okay, so we do something like this, and we'll go to our language. This is our language, and we'll have a type dot cancellation ID, and this will be equals cancellation ID of, I guess, string for right now. Okay. And yeah. Okay. Now this whole portal right here, that should be ride. Ah, shoot. Portal right here should be ride. And we want to do that to the entire solution, caps, and throughout the entire solution. That should work out. And yeah, so if we go back to our operations, if I attempt to build, everything should just build. Okay. Now my OCD is screaming at me because it says that I should at least line up the arrows between request ride and cancel ride, um, like that. Oh, okay. That makes me feel a little bit better. And I'll wait for this to build. Hopefully it should build. And you should build. I need to upgrade my laptop because this is slow and I don't really have that many projects. My next laptop is going to be, I'm going to look for a 64 gig of RAM laptop, and that should keep me happy. Of course, that's probably going to be like maybe $2,500. All right, so that builds, right? It's only 11 projects. It took that long to build. Okay, so now what, Willis? Well, you request a ride, and that returns you a pending ride, okay? You could cancel a ride, but as input, you need to have the pending ride, and the result is going to be a ride cancellation, okay? Now, what else? Well, something needs to happen. And this, I guess I need to keep in mind that this is on the client or the passengers app. And so what would be really cool is if I also build the driver's app. That's a different area. But with the passengers app, you have a request ride, and then that becomes a state change to a pending ride, and that eventually needs to be a state change to either a canceled ride, and maybe I'll rename that to canceled ride. Why can't I just rename? Okay, canceled. Oh, come on, canceled ride. Okay, and so a request ride will state change into a pending ride. A pending ride can state change into either a canceled ride or a ride. Okay, so in our language, we need to have a type ride, and that type ride is going to have your ride ID at the bare minimum, right? Ride ID. Okay. I keep missing this equal sign. All right. So we define that as our language. Now, what happens is on the other app, more than likely, the driver, right? So the driver has his own app that's different from this app. The driver is more than likely going to say he picked up the passenger. All right. And so that'll be a notification that should get pushed down to this app. And maybe there's some logic that says for the next maybe 60 seconds, or no. In the event that a driver claims that he picks up a passenger, we, the system, will decide that that claim is true if and only if the GPS coordinates of the driver and that of the passenger are the same outside of the origin of where they were supposed to meet up, hence the pickup location. So outside of the pickup location, if the passenger's current location and the driver's current location that are different from the origin of where they decide to pick up, if the passenger's location and the driver's location are the same coordinates, then we can say that we have a ride. Okay. Now, I know for a fact I'm a tester, right? So one way that's flawed logic is if either one of them turns off their phone. Okay. Well, why would they turn off their phone? Well, they may not turn off their phone, but the logic is flawed because a battery could die on either phone. Okay. And the battery dies on either phone, then there's no GPS. If there's no GPS, there's no notification, or there's no validity logic or validate logic to say that they're still together because, well, a device is offline. An app is no longer participating in the system. So that means that there's probably a strategy. Okay. The strategy is that first strategy, right? And this is based on priority levels. The very first strategy in the ordered strategy list will be that what I said earlier, outside of the origin location or outside of the pickup location of the driver and the passenger, if the driver and the passenger at any given time are both share the same location outside of the original pickup location, then we can say with some confidence that a ride has been executed, right? In this case, we won't call it ride. We will call it InRoute, okay? And the last state will probably be ride because they were dropped off, right? Which we may just call that dropped off. I don't know yet. Anyway, so that's the very first strategy to be attempted. If we can't retrieve the location from either devices, then we assume that the device is turned off or the battery has died, whatever, of either the driver or the passenger. We assume that. So the next strategy is if the strategy number one fails of verifying that outside of the pickup, the driver and the passenger still has the same GPS coordinates, then if that fails, the next strategy is one of them is moving in route to the destination. Okay, and that that may be not considered en route until we can verify that the driver has either stopped at that location, well, has stopped at that location, um, or within that area, maybe within 1 mile of that location. And then we can say, okay, if they stopped within 1 mile of that location, right? Then for more than 3 seconds, then we can say with not a lot of confidence, but that a ride had been executed. So how do I represent that in the type system? IDK. One is we're going to have a type called when you request a ride. We already said that the next state change can be a cancel ride. Well, no, canceled ride, right? And that results from a cancel ride operation. But there's also regardless of the operation within the language, there's definitely going to be a en route. All right, so you say type en route equals, and I don't know what that's going to be. You're going to have your ride. You're going to have your ride ID. Okay. And that's it for right now. This route or this ride right here, that, am I even using this anywhere? Yeah, this ride is maybe should be drop off or dropped off. I can't spell dropped off. Or maybe I should just leave it alone, just let it be ride. Or say ride ended. Maybe that's better. Okay. So you request a ride that can state change into canceled ride, or it can state change into a ride or en route. Okay. Your en route can ultimately lead to ride ended eventually. Okay. All right. So here's the thing. I discussed that there needs to be some type of notification, I believe, that is going to trigger a en route. Okay. I'm not sure off the top of my head the best way of modeling a notification of being en route. Like this is that's a value. I don't think that's a function. Like that's a value. I don't think that's an operation. So, and when I say that, everything else that I've been doing, all these operations right here, they reside in a view model. Okay. This ride ended and then route, those aren't operations, those are states. So if those are states, then this is going to be information that gets pushed down to our system, gets pushed down to our app from some external system. Okay. And so that's it. this can still be represented in the view model, but it's only represented as a property, aka state, ride ended, and then route. There's no, I don't believe that there's an operation to accommodate a state change of a request ride to a en route. That comes from the top or from outside of our world, right? That's an external system that passes us that information. Now, because there's not much clarity on that, I would say that the next part of that would be fleshing out a view model, okay, with the types that I did expose, hence the cancel ride type, as well as the en route type and route ended type, okay, something like that. And I don't think I have it in me right now to knock that out because I need to prepare to go to a user group. But this over here, first of all, this should be called get ride view model, right? Okay. And now what? You look at these apps. These apps are using the same interface. They're not really swapping out to a different page, or are they? I mean, who said? Who cares? Like, I think I could represent this as a different view model, and then have the option to massage the two view models into one. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do right now for clarity. Is I'm going to say, what am I going to do? How's this going to work? See, this is going. Yeah. So this application logic, that's what we're going to rely on. This app.foundation, this is going to rely on a new project that we're going to call AppLogic. The AppLogic is going to subscribe to, is going to describe to a message. Yeah, it's going to subscribe to a message of InRoute. All right, I don't know how to say that in a different way. It's going to arbitrarily say, I'm interested when I receive an InRoute message, period. It doesn't care where it comes from, okay? And it's also going to subscribe to a message that reflects that the passenger has been dropped off. Okay. And so for right now, we'll call this AppLogic. And we'll throw AppLogic right here. And right now we'll just make this a module, but I'm almost confident this AppLogic is going to be a namespace. I'll leave it like that. Okay. And the module is going, for this part, is going to be, I don't know, it's some type of event, right? It's en route. Nope. We'll just call this ride. We'll call this ride for right now. Okay. And I think I need to indent this. And this, I'm getting the red squiggly because AppLogic up here shouldn't match AppLogic over here. So I could say get ride. I don't want to do that. Say AppLogic dot ride. Can I do that? Am I allowed to say that? And then say type foo equals, and then I can say, I don't know, I'll say member x dot foo equals something like that. I don't really care. What I just want this thing to compile. All right. So this AppLogic, regardless, is I'm going to have to add a reference to the core library. I just want you to build. And so I'm building. We'll see what happens. Come on, build, 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 build. Build. And if I look at my, shoot, what's this right here? If I look at my output, I'll see that, I don't know what this means. Let me just try to build this by itself. Unable to find the file, whatever that means. And I don't know what that means. What if I just comment all this out and then try to build this AppLogic? You know, it wasn't until I upgraded to this latest version of Visual Studio that I'm getting this error. Files and library. Okay, so what if I just do this? And then what if I try to build it? And it doesn't care. And so that's going to be the end of my video for right now, because I don't feel like trying to troubleshoot this while I'm recording. The only other thing I could do is I can close it and reopen it and hope that it goes away. Okay, and I'll try that. The good news is, if this still doesn't compile, then I'll just end the video and I'll move on with my day. All right, let me see. Are you going to be nice? Are you going to play nice? Huh? And select AppLogic. There's no red squigglies yet. When I try to build it, all right, so I had to restart Visual Studio, and now it compiles. Okay, so this namespace applogic.ride, and I'll have a module. I don't know what I'm going to call this. I'll call it I don't know what I'm going to call it. Subscriptions or something. Or notifications. I don't know. Notifications. Okay. And that's going to be let what? Let what? InRoute. Make that let InRoute handler equal, and well, that's probably going to be unit equal, and then I don't know, something like this. And then same thing over here, let ride ended handler, something like that. Okay. Yeah, I'm not sure yet. Or it can really be something like this. Let ride state handler equal, and then you say function, and then we'll just say InRoute like that of what? Of ride, silly. Okay, and I don't know. That's going to do something. Okay, and then we can have ride ended. Come here. Ended, right? Of what? Of ride, silly, like that. Okay, and that can be it for right now. And so we haven't really defined this. And actually, I'm confusing my. This is really going to be ride. Okay, that. And how this is going to work is we'll have, now I'll move this somewhere, but ride state, okay, equals, and then you're going to have pending ride of pending ride, and then you'll have oh crap, you'll have like ride requested, okay, of what? Of passenger, okay, and then you have pending ride of what? Of pending ride, and then you'll have like InRoute, right? Of what? Of, I think I had a type called InRoute somewhere, and then you have ride ended, and you say of what? And you say of ride ended, something like that. Okay, so then you have your ride state handler InRoute ride ended, right? You have all that stuff over here. So we can take this over here and we could do this over here, right? And so we can la. Oh yeah, we forgot something. What did we forget? Well, we forgot the ride canceled. Okay, and of what? Of ride canceled. Okay, so we can take this over here and we can do something like that. And come here, Willis, like that. Okay, and we can go something like that and say, come here, Willis, something like that. Okay, and then we can go something like that. Okay, like something like that. And from there, we can say, I don't know yet, but it's going to probably have some type of side effect like that. Ugh. Passenger. Why is passenger? It'll look something like this. Okay. And so I don't feel like figuring that out right now. Okay. So smart. Then I know that this AppLogic is going to reference all the domains. So, and it's going to reference the specifications too. Right now, just focus on the specifications. So your account specification, This portal is going to be updated to a ride specification. Okay. It's also going to more than likely rely on domains, but I'm not going to worry about that right now. Okay. So somehow there's going to be some process that runs, right? And it's either going to receive a message or it's going to poll for a message. I don't care, right? I mean, ideally, I want to receive a message. I don't want to have to ask for it and say, "Oh, I do have a message. Okay, cool, give it to me." All right, but when that does occur, this handler is going to be executed because this handler is going to be passed in as a argument, and logic is going to execute, and it's a notification will be recognized about a state of a ride, and it's going to execute this ride state handler. And that's the way it's going to work right now. Okay. So, in conclusion, and I didn't even get to the other, well, in a way I did. In conclusion, in this video, I discussed what happens in the state flow, for lack of a better term, or the state machine of a ride with a ride app, right? You request a ride, that ride becomes a pending ride. It could then eventually it can state change into a canceled ride or a InRoute, right? And then ultimately it can be a drop off as well, or ride ended, right? That's what we call it. I also said, so in addition to that, I said that we need to figure out when we have a en route ride, and there's two strategies of accomplishing that, and we're going to basically involve both of those strategies in a certain order or priority. And if the highest priority doesn't work out, if it fails, then we'll rely on another strategy. And so there's at least two strategies. I didn't write that logic yet, but that's something to be considered. I didn't write any tests. That's something that needs to be done somehow, some way. But I did introduce a AppLogic library in here. This AppLogic library will have a handlers. I don't know what you want to call this. We'll just call this handlers file, and this will be a handlers module. This ride state, this should really be migrated to our ride language. In this case, we'll create a file called events.fs, events.fs, okay? That events.fs can probably have this right here, okay? What else? What else, Willis? Well, I'll tell you. We need to update the ride.specification. We need to take that and we need to follow conventions, be consistent. Ride specification.events, Mendejo, yes. All right, and then you go back down here, and well, that should already be mapped to specifications. So we should just be able to import this right here, right? That boom, like events. Now we still have to compile this again, but that should be okay. Yeah, okay. And I want to change this right here. I want to change that up here after it compiles. It's compiling right now. It should be okay. I referenced the specification. I imported the events module. Oh, that was random. Why did it jump all the way over there? So, okay, everything builds. I don't like this over here. I'm gonna call this. I'm gonna leave this alone right now. All my tests should still pass. And once the test pass, I'm ending the video. I'm Scott Nimrod, and I'm available for hire. Think about me when your company, or if you're a boss, you need some help. So mobile app development, desktop development, back-end development, whatever. All the tests pass. Okay, I'm out. Peace, adios, and stop.